All right. Hello, friends. Welcome to Music Nation Speaks with me, Joe, where I use this platform to chat and learn from people who are passionate in what they do and authentic in who they are from all walks of life. So, before we move into our conversation with our next guest, hopefully, there's two. A bit of housekeeping to do. Music Nation is now offering a package of 12 sessions for singing and songwriting. Sessions can be done online or in person, and they'll be conducted by none other than yours truly. The cool thing about these sessions is that you can do them anytime. It doesn't have to be weekly. So if you like to sing or write 3 times a week, 4 times a week, that's fine too. So DM us on Instagram, Facebook, or send us an email to sign up today and get started on your music journey. All right, so a couple of disclaimers to announce before we get started today. So as you can hear from my incredibly deep and sexy voice, I am still recovering from tonsillitis, which is the perfect condition to be in while we talk about all things of vocals and the fundamentals of singing, right? And the second disclaimer is due to some issues, technical, uh, not technical, but like Mr. Tishan might or might not be able to join us today, depending. So we're gonna get started with Mr. Terrence first. All right. So without further ado, let's bring up Mr. Terrence Ling.
Hello, hello. Woo! Yay! Miss Joe. Hi.
一副很 professional 的样子。
没有办法，我才刚刚到家不久。
I understand. So props to Mr. Terrence. And Miss Terrence is teaching full time at UCSI and doing gigs on the side as well and teaching. So this is who says doing music cannot cari makan? Look at Miss Terrence.
Oh man. Well, music can cari makan depending how you cari. So yeah.
Yes. It depends on how, is it?
Yeah, based on how you really go and find food for yourself.
Yes, yes, for your
Yeah.
soul. So, just to backtrack a little bit, how I first met Terrence actually. So, the first time I met Terrence, I think it was during like 2020 Tim's live kat rumah, or it
Mm.
was one of our team's initiatives for live music during the pandemic, and that was when I actually knew you as drummer.
Yes,
For
correct. Yeah.
九十一.
Yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so I knew Terrence as a drummer, all right? Okay, get acquitted already. And then all of a sudden, hey, I see you sing for the Astro, one of
Oh
the
yeah, correct.
Astro, yeah, Astro
Oh,
programs at B Sing.
yes, correct. Yes, missing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, hey, isn't this guy a drummer? Why is he singing? And then the next time I see you, you're playing and singing with Clayton Jerome. I was like, playing keyboard, mind you guys,
Oh
playing
yes.
and singing.
Yeah, with Clinton, right? That one is in Hatamas.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, what cannot this guy do?
I can't play guitar, so that one is really out of
Not
my
yet.
zone. I can't play. No, cannot. I tried before. No, it's really not my thing. Yeah,
So
it's really
string
not my
lah,
thing. Yeah.
弹的就可以。
This one cannot. Bass also cannot. So actually, yeah, cannot.
And yeah, and then the next thing I know, you're reaching out for from UCSI. I was like, huh? He's also teaching full time at UCSI. Like this guy really Superman.
No, lah. I think I'm just like quite blessed in this area. Just so happen I get to expose to different kind of instruments since young. So yeah, thanks to my parents. Yeah.
So let's get into it, right? How did you
Mm.
get exposed to so many kinds of different instruments, and what pulled you to explore these instruments? Because like from my like I was forced to forced to play the piano and violin since young, and I didn't start singing until I was in college. So
Mm.
and other than that, I was like, once I found singing, I was like, nope, I'm not gonna do anything else except for singing. And I wanted
Mm.
to really uh, be more zuan, focus
Yeah.
into one instrument, right? So,
Mm.
what about for you? How did you get into these different kinds of instruments?
I guess is because like the exposure that I had when I was young. So because I came from Sarawak, so back then in Sarawak there are a lot of singing competitions going on. So I remember when I was small, this is how my parents describe it to me. He's like 你知道你为什么开始唱歌吗？ Then I'm like, why? I don't understand why I started like since like what kind of occasion that I get into singing. Then my mom told me
Yeah.
that 那个时候你小时候你在电视前面你看到林志颖 that time, you know the artist 林志颖.
Yes,
I mean
yes.
our generation kind of artist lah, Hong Kong artist. Is it Hong Kong? I think it's Hong Kong artist, right? Yeah. Or Taiwanese. I
Or
can't remember.
Taiwan, lah, yeah.
Yeah, Taiwan or Hong Kong. So
Yeah.
那个时候林志颖很红. Then he performed in front of the TV show or whatever. Then 我就在电视前面模仿他跳舞
So you
啊。
你从跳舞开始了。
Yeah, yeah. So 我就模仿他，就是他的那些 actions 啊，or whatever，我就那时候很小嘛，我就在电视前面
Yeah.
我就模仿他。然后我妈妈就讲，诶，哇，这个小弟弟好像可能可以啊，在 music 里面。然后我妈妈就丢我去学唱歌，就学唱歌，小时候学唱歌。
Ah,
然后我还记得我出来第一场的 singing competition。Because we didn't know how competition works that time back in
yeah,
those
yeah.
days. So when my first competition, it was the interclass singing competition in my primary
Ah,
school. So
mm,
my mom didn't know how it works, so we just wear like school uniform and go for the competition. Yeah, because we don't know what are the rules and regulations. So once we
yeah.
arrive there, then we realize the other participants, they are wearing like really like full of different kind of costumes. So if you are singing bird song, you are wearing like a bird costume. If you
A
are
bird
singing the
costume.
giraffe, yeah, because that was those times lah. Basically, 你唱什么你就穿什么。如果你是唱小毛驴 maybe you will wear like a donkey, something like that. Yeah. So everybody is like dressed up like so well. Then 只有我是穿校服的。Then to a point that I broke down, because everybody is very so nice.
So
Oh,
malu.
so malu. I cannot. So I broke down. Then when I go on to the stage,
Yeah.
I'm the only one who sings like 100% out of pitch because I'm out of control. Because after crying everything,
Oh,
after broke down, this kind of
yeah.
整首歌走音，最后一名。Yeah,
Oh.
that was my first singing competition experience.
Experience,
Then
and you
after
remember
that,
it until now.
yeah, I remember until now because that is really to a point that it's like up to today. I still can remember all the images. When I arrived at the schools. When I broke down, see the birds, see the donkey, see the giraffe, see the A-plan. All this kind of costume. But I'm the only one who wear the school uniform. So
You're
I'm
the only
like,
normal
man,
one lah.
yeah. Then after that, then that's how I started to get into the singing competition. So all the way until I finished my high school and then coming to KL, stay in KL, and then continue for the competitions. And then,
Mm.
but before that, my mom also like, hey, maybe you should learn a little bit instrument. So my mom like asked me
Yeah.
to go and learn piano. So that's how I started to
Mm.
play the keys. So but I didn't
Ah.
finish because I still remember my mom asked me to take the ABRSM grade 5 exam. So I 就是 like 一边练习一边哭，我不要，我不要，我不要，我不要 like that.
不要。
So 我不要。So my mom said, okay lah, you got no hope in piano, then don't learn piano anymore lah.
Don't
So
do it lah.
until grade 5, I stopped everything. Then few years later, my butt a bit itchy, and I told my mom, maybe I should try violin because violin looks so smart. But eventually, I finished violin until grade 8, and eventually I used that instrument to enroll to the music university. Yeah, so that's how I enrolled to.
Oh.
At first, I started off as a violin major, classical violin major, when I was
Right,
still
right.
in my foundation year.
Yeah.
Then because when I finished my study there, and then I don't know what instrument should I go for. So
Yeah.
I didn't think of choosing voice as a major. I
Major.
thought of like maybe keyboard, maybe no lah, keyboard cannot lah, until grade 5, how can? So it's like because I finished grade 8 my violin, so that's why I chose grade 8. I chose violin as my
Yeah.
major instrument back
Violin.
then. So then 1 year
Mm.
later, I exposed to contemporary. I thought, oh, this is because even though I sang pop song back then, but I don't know what is
Ah,
contemporary music, jazz, hip hop, all this kind of rock,
right.
rock. So all these kind of
Right.
different kind of genre I exposed to it through a contemporary
Yeah.
choir back in the university.
Yeah.
So that, oh, that's how contempt sounds like. Okay, I really want to go for that. So when I want to pick the instruments for the contemporary major,
Mm.
I spoke to Gigi, one Gigi, the, our
Oh,
famous guitarist in Malaysia.
yes.
So
Yes.
I bumped into him. Then he asked me, "Oi, what instrument you want to choose?" Then I'm like, I don't know lah. Maybe contempt violin. Allah, why
Mm.
choose violin? You should go for something that probably in the future it can get you. You know how Gigi, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, cannot lah. You go and choose something else. Okay, maybe I should think about it. Then I still remember I exposed to
Mm.
drums a little bit that time. So that's basically how I
Ah.
changed my major to drums later on. But behind the
Oh,
scenes, I still
in
continue to yeah, yeah. So but behind the
i-
scenes, I still
in
continue to
college.
do a lot of drums. Yes, yes, in college. Yeah. So when I go to degree,
Oh,
so I just change it to drums. So
then
yeah.
power lah you.
Then after I was hired by the university, UCSI University, then I get exposed to more on teachings on voice, yeah, rather than on the drums. So that's basically basically that's my journey lah. How I get into singing. Yeah. So a lot of things is basically a lot of singing stuff is basically behind the scenes. Right? Nobody know what I'm doing. Nobody know that actually I'm singing. So I didn't really go and say out like, okay, I can sing. I can't. So I didn't do that as well lah. So basically,
Right.
if I play in a band, I would rather be a drummer more than a singer. Yeah. So that's basically how I
Why?
yeah, because I felt like more comfortable, like more enjoyable playing drums. Backing the singers.
Mm.
So I think it's different kind of things. But I also
Yes.
do sing in a few occasions, which I have to be the main vocalist rather than the instrument. So it depends lah. Like those back then,
Yeah.
when Jumuro Music, they have this like sub label that's something called PH Music. Yeah, I was signed
Ah,
to become one of the composer, singer, songwriter there. So that is the only time when I
yeah.
really like, okay, I'm going to step, as a front line, really
In
like bring out.
front.
Yeah, so I think it depends on the occasions lah. Yeah, so yeah, that's basically how.
Ah,
Uh,
understand. So 幕前也可以，幕后也可以啦。
呃，我不会这样讲啦，但是 it depends on what kind of occasions 咯。Yeah, it depends on what kind of occasions. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, what role you are required to play. Yeah, either
Yes,
front
exactly,
end or
exactly.
the musician. Yes, understand. So I want to backtrack a little bit, right? Because backtrack to the first competition the first singing competition that you added. Because usually, 这样大的阴影 for a child, right?
Mm.
Going through so much trauma, looking at costumes and breaking down and getting last place at your first ever singing competition, usually it would completely deter someone away from trying
Yes,
again,
yes.
especially for a child. So what I want to know is what makes you go for it again and again and again.
Actually，其实那一件事情是 like，
嗯
那一件事情是
嗯
我的整个 musical journey 有一个transition point，是我
，yes，
在17岁的时候，那一年如果那一年我没有 go through 那一年的话，我今天应该不会唱歌。Yeah, there was an
哦，
incident. So 因为 back in Sarawak, because 我们每一年都在比赛，所以 Sarawak 他们有
对，
一个 competition 叫做全沙，就是整个 Sarawak singing competition. So Miri, Kuching, Sibu, Bintulu, like every 省份every
哇
city 他们每一年都会
yes，
organize 一个来选拔赛。 So 你选 the best from this Miri area,
Yeah.
Cebu area, Kuching area, and then you go for the correct. It's like the national level lah, from every state and then to
Yes.
national. So this one is from every city go to the state level. So 我们那个时候都在比这个比赛的，所以你只要是从 Sarawak 来的那些歌手，他们都知道有一个比赛叫做全沙赛，就是有儿童、有中学生、有成人。所以我们比的歌哦，早期我们唱的歌都不是流行歌，我们早期唱的歌都是那些比较中国民歌一点，就是好像比如说《霸王别姬》啊，对，《精忠报国》啊，《我爱你塞北的雪》啊，这种很 like very China kind of
的歌
really big kind of sound, you know. So it somehow, you know, it 那些比较有 classical 底的人啊 ，classical I mean 齐轩不在了，他可能会 relate 到，就是那种比较有 classical 底的人啊，他们反而就是唱这些歌，就是他们 slowly build to that。这个也是我的一个 like opening point where I later on I go and learn classical singing when I was in the university。这个是一个 another transition 啊。But 我要讲的那个 incident 是我在17岁的，因为我们每一年都在比，所以我们的那个 mentality 跟我们的那一个competitive 的那一个 nature 跟那个 instinct 很 strong。就是比如说像我看到你是 from Kuching 的，我是 from Miri 的，你知道我们在那个时候就已经是 like 好像前面yo Joe, you know how are you, you know, but at the back there is like cannot lah, you know, I want to win her, I want to do this, so 那个
win her
很强，好像我们自己 Miri 省哦，我们梅里的歌手，我们都会自己跟自己就是会有那种很就是我们 competition 那种 nature 咯啊。就是好像
very competitive，
他可能会不好这样啊，互相伤害啊，就是已经是有那一种的 vibe 在里面。所以我还记得有一年我们每一年都在比嘛，所以我记得我在 Form 3的时候，就是17岁的时候，我准备了很多 like put in a lot of effort into that competition. Then my teachers, everyone is like really, you know, go through a lot of training session, you know, go to the beach and sing, you know, run the staircase and sing. You do a lot of, you know, physical exercise training just to get your singing become better and better. So I put in a lot of effort to that competition. So in the end, even though I get into the grand final, but I didn't, you know, go into the top 4. You know, I just got a consolation. When we have the meet the juror session, there's only one jury comment which is like, 我觉得你唱歌 OK， 但是我唯一就是觉得你太小了，就是你的年纪太小。对。我到现在都还记得那个 comment， 他那个 judges 的 comment 给我是，我觉得你唱的 OK， 我觉得你唱的很好，但是我把我眼睛闭起来的时候，我觉得你很 OK， 但是我把眼睛开起来的时候，我觉得你不
OK。What kind of backwards comment is that?
Yeah, so 那一个 comment like I mean it's just a comment, right? But 它完全打击了很多我的那一个，就是因为你准备很多年的一个 preparation， 因为我们那个时候比赛的那个我们是一首歌打天下的那一种，就是你会用一首歌呢一直练，每一年都在练，然后就是因为你希望你每一年你再唱回这首歌，你会越唱越好。
对对对，
我在那一年的时候，我 even 在那个 competition 一完，我整个人真的是 broke down, like really I cannot control. Then to a point that it's like I really want to give up singing because it's like over the years, you know, I've been trying so hard. Then in the end, I received these kind of comments, and then I don't know how to move on. My teacher also like shocked, you know, don't know what to do. My parents also shocked, don't know what to do. So
you were only 15 years old.
From 3, yes, correct. 15, yes, you're right, 15. So it's like 我不知道要怎样 continue. So in the end, it's like 我突然间我对唱歌完全没有兴趣。
Because of that one comment.
I think it's not just because of that comment. It's more of like the accumulate kind of effort, you know, going through, you know, you go through up and downs, tears, all this kind of stuff. And then in the end, you know, it's like, I mean, if the comments are really beneficial and it's really constructive, maybe it will motivate you. But it's like, you know, it feels like you are have been like, 感觉上好像有一点点怎样讲，就是好像被玩弄的感觉，就是会有这样子一点点。但是我还小，我还不知道要怎样去 handle emotionally， 我不知道要怎样去 handle that。然后我就跟我妈妈讲说，我可能不要唱歌了。那时候还小嘛，真的不知道要怎样去 handle。然后我妈妈也讲 OK， 没有关系，你先休息咯。然后隔一年的时候，我还记得，像那个选拔赛还是会来的嘛，就是那一个 preliminary round from every city is ongoing。所以我还记得我妈妈一直跟我讲说，她讲，你确定你不要参加吗？我讲我不要，我就是不要参加，我就是不要参加。那时候 Form 4不要参加。Then 我在那个 submission deadline 的前一天，可是我又很想参加那个时候，可是我又因为我一年没有练歌了，你知道吗？我那时候是一年完全没有唱歌，我真的是一年没有唱歌。但是我就想，哎呀，我还是很喜欢唱，只是因为我被打击到，我不懂怎样 handle， 所以我就哎呀，
对。
我妈妈就在 submission deadline 前一天，我妈妈讲，你确定你不要参加？我讲，哎呀，
你妈妈知道你了。
然后我就跟我妈妈讲，我讲，我可以参加啦，但是我没有歌唱哦，我没有歌唱，因为我一年
Because you haven't been practicing for a year.
Yes, because 我们 competition， 因为我们很常 competition 嘛，别讲说我们很常一直练歌，一直练歌，每一天都在练，每一天都在练。随便讲说，我在那个时候，我真的是一年没有唱歌，我真的不懂要唱什么歌，我唱回以前的歌不要了，我唱成想吐了的那一种。所以讲唱新歌，我又没有什么歌。然后我妈就讲 ，It's OK 啦，你觉得你最近在听什么歌？我们那个年代听很多张学友嘛。所以我就讲哦 ，OK 啦，我用张学友去比。我们都知道那个时候的 competition 哦，如果你拿2首一样的歌手的歌哦，你其实没有胜算的，在那个比赛，你一定要有 contrast，一首是大的，一首是小的。他们有他们的 rules， 他们来说过他们的 rules for 那种 competition。所以 in the end 我讲 OK 啦，好，我可以参加，但是我要 go by， 我就是要享受，我不要有 stress， 因为我之前参加比赛心态是，哎呀。我一定要做好，我一定要这个，我一定比赛是这样子的嘛，所以别讲说他 build 了那一个整个 nature 那个 instinct 哦，你会觉得你会想要，你知道，就是想要做好每一样事情。所以那个时候我就跟我的朋友讲说 ，OK， 我可以参加，但是我不要有压力，你就让我 enjoy。Then in the end somehow
不管成绩了
不管成绩，反而我不管成绩之下哦。我感觉良好，然后出来的效果比我前几年 put in 的那些 effort 来的更好。To a point that it changed my mind as in like, music is really about enjoyment. You can learn a lot of things. You can learn a lot of technical stuff. You can expose to a lot of musical aspect. But the most important thing is when you are on the stage, whether you are a singer or the instrumentalist, the first thing you need to know is you must enjoy yourself on the stage. Otherwise, you cannot send out the energy to the audience. So 那个时候开始 ，Form 4开始之后的比赛，我全部都是以 enjoy first. Let's have fun on the stage. Let's be approachable to the audience. You know, 你一定要跟 audience 有一个很好的连接，这样子你在唱的时候，他们就可以收到你要的东西。所以我在 Form 4 Yes， 我在Form 4那个时候我就转整个 mindset， 所以那个时候开始的，我就发现到其实 music 有很多，因为 music is all about expression. Singers especially, you express your voice, you express the story, you express your emotion. There might be some emotion when you try to converse it with other people. It's very difficult, to unleash all those kind of emotion. Or maybe you want to let go a certain kind of a negative thoughts or negative emotion, but then you don't know how. Actually, music will help. So singers actually, when you sing, eventually you are releasing a lot of different kind of emotion. Whether is it happy, whether is it excited, or whether is it sad, all different kind of expression. So
different character that you have to be as well.
Yes, exactly. So that somehow encourages me, even though like sometimes when I play keys, back myself as you play and sing, I also need to remind myself, even though I'm playing the keys, playing the chords, I need to know how I want to phrase the chord, how I want to roll the chord, so that when I roll it, it will support my singing. Because it should be in the same expression. So just like just like I mean, when we sing, with a pianist, or guitarist, or with a band, we really hope that we are in the same page. We
Oh
really
yes,
hope that,
yes, yes.
whatever emotion, whatever thinking, whatever imagination that I have as a singer, my musicians will also have it, so that when we
Yes.
gel in together, we are moving as one unit.
As one. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So that to me is actually quite important. Technical stuff,
Mm.
that one can be taught. That one we are not
Yes.
worried. You can build the technical aspect.
Yes.
After a while, if once you keep on developing. But the
Yeah.
idea of getting the whole things together, from singers all the way to the rest of the musician, or even with the backing tracks, right?
Yes.
Even if you sing with the backing track, how can you put yourself inside the backing track? Also, another type of
Backing
skills.
track.
Yeah, because the
Yes.
backing track is already set. It's not like live music,
Yes.
you can change everything. I want to rearrange it a little bit. Backing track is already like
Yeah.
default. The
Set.
only
Yes. Yes.
changes that we can do is ourselves as a singer. So we need to jump into it.
Yeah.
That is another thing.
Yeah.
So it's not much about like how should I lead the musicians to create the emotion or the picture or the story that we want to present together as one unit to the audience.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's basically
Versus yeah.
how I look at all this kind since from four until now. Yeah.
Until now.
So yeah, so that is really a good transition point, because otherwise I would not think like, oh, actually music is not really just about winning or losing. Even today, if you
Yes.
get consolation, so what? This
Doesn't yeah, yeah.
consolation, when you fail, it won't define you as a bad singer. You see?
Yes, yes, yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The perfect example is the one that we were judging together, the online
Mm.
competition. Yeah, when they announced the winner, I was very pleasantly surprised because truth be told, like were they stronger singers? Definitely, but there must be the the essence of it, the sincerity and the authenticity of the
Yes.
winner, right? It cannot be
Yes.
denied.
Correct.
Yeah, so
Correct. But I guess
yeah.
nowadays the competition somehow they function a little bit differently already. They listen
Oh
more a
yeah.
lot about the interpretation, your creative ideas. They listen to more about this. Back then, when I joined the
Yeah.
competition, it's all about techniques. If you have more techniques,
Ah,
if you have
how
good
big you can
techniques,
sing.
that's it. You are the champion already. Now, even though you really have a good techniques, maybe
Yeah.
not, probably someone who is
Yes.
really, the performance is really like, wow, the aura, I can feel it.
All
Probably, yeah, they stand more chance. So nowadays, the competition is a little bit different. Yeah, so the aspect
yeah.
they look into also very different nowadays as well. So I guess it's really an improvement to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
That's
really an
that's
improvement.
so cool. So basically, like from that one pivotal point in your life, it you know threw you into this whole journey of what music means to you and
Mm,
how you approach music. It completely
yes.
switched your mindset. Yeah, and I definitely relate to that because like when I was younger, all I wanted was just to be a rock star. I want to be like
Mm,
Paramore, then tour the world and things like that. And so it switched when uh, I wanted to get better at singing and how do I use this instrument, this two piece of muscle in my voice, to sing it better, to protect it, and it drove me into like 要去研究更多，要去学更多
mm,
so that I can be the best singer, and not to say the best singer in the world, but the best singer for myself. Like 我要唱这首歌 I'm singing this song now. A year later, I have to sing this song so much better. I want to be able to do that for myself. So
mm.
uh getting into singing and well, music education, and let's put it broadly, right? You mentioned just now a little bit about learning classical singing, which I didn't know you did. So since the theme is fundamentals of singing, right? So
Mm.
what are some of the core differences that you find in classical singing versus contemporary singing? Because you do both very, very
Yes.
well. I mean, to to put it out there, I haven't heard you sing classically before, but I've heard you sing, live contemporary music, pop music, rock music, so well. So I'm very curious to know what are the differences. Because personally, I've never attended classical music, and if I did, uh, uh to say everybody's ears, I would rather not. So yes.
Right. Now I really hope Shishan is here. Okay.
Oh, this is your perspective, and what
Okay.
you've learned. Yeah.
I guess the one of the main reason why I started learning classical voice is because I want to build my basic. I want to really dive into the basic. I really want to dive into the fundamental of singing, like our topic today, right? So it's more about the breathing, voice
Yeah.
position. How should I
Yeah.
project my voice to a point? Because classical singing is really about the source. I guess I
Yeah.
my student heard it like very tiring already. Source every day, source about source. It's really all about that. Because classical singing, you are not singing with a mic. It's not like contemporary. It's not like popular singing.
Yes.
It's not like pop song singing. When you sing, you have a mic to enhance whatever things that you have. But classical singing is really pure. It's just like so pure to a point that whatever things that you sing out, that's it. There's nothing else.
Mm.
No additional reverb for you. No additional EQ for
No
you. No
filters.
additional. Yes, exactly. There's nothing. If you sounds good, which means you are really good. If you sounds bad, work harder lah.
Yeah.
That kind of concept. So when I want to, at first I was thinking, I really interested back then. I really interested in classical singing. That's why I enrolled to classical voice classes with one of my teachers who is still very close to me until today. So he taught me a lot of things about singing. He mentioned a lot of things, something that I have not thought of. So the first thing that I noticed is I have been using a lot of wrong ways in singing. Because when we
Right.
join competition, all we need is to create a big sound. But how do we create a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
sound? This is really about the fundamental of singing already, right? So he changed a lot of the perspective that I had, and then he also changed a lot of habits that I have also. He said, okay, Terrence, you shouldn't do this, you have to
Mm.
think otherwise, the voice function differently, is not function as how you think, all this kind of, eventually I use a lot of wrong ways. So when he tested, when we test our range, when he tests my range, vocal range, I
Mm.
realized my range is very, very, very small. It's like I'm singing a
Ah,
bass berry kind of range.
okay.
When I try to expand my range to slightly a little bit higher range, like maybe C5 or
Yeah.
maybe like C4 and then C5, right? So when I try to
Mm-hmm.
expand it to C5, just one octave from the middle C, I can't. I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know how to hit the note. Just simple scales.
Ah.
Re, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la,
Mm.
sol, fa, mi, re, do. So it's just simple scales. I don't know how to hit the C5. I don't know how to
Yeah.
hit the B4. I just crush into it to a point that my voice
Ah.
is really hurting.
Right.
So
So you. Mm.
yeah, so that's basically how I started to change the way I sing. So also
Yeah.
that's also how I started to expand my range to
Mm.
bass berry kind of range to slightly a little bit tenors, and then from tenors go to the high
Tenor.
tenors. So I expand. This is how I expand my range. So and at the same
Ah.
time, I also learned a lot of different kind of perspective. But when I want to apply into popular singing, I cannot use it 100%. It is
Right.
related. Okay, it is related to
Mm.
a point that the basic are the same. How do you breathe is the
Right.
same. Where do you
Right.
place your voice position is the same also. The way you approach
Right.
but the execution is different.
Ah.
Is different because we in contemporary singing we are aiming for be as natural as possible, just like how
Possible.
we
Yes.
talk.
Very
Yeah. So
conversational.
yes, that's right. If we want to say the story this way, we should sing this way. So that's the mindset, lah.
Yes. Yes.
But if we use too much of the classical sound into the
Yeah.
contemporary singing, it somehow will
Yeah.
change the texture and the tone
Yeah.
color. So,
Yeah.
but the classical techniques is so helpful to a point that it will ease your burden whenever you want to try to go big.
Ah.
It will ease
So
your
is there
burden.
like a big gun for you to
Yeah,
use?
they are like secret spot where you can find in your singing, so that when you want to go loud, when you want to go very high, when you want to belt your voice, it will ease your burden. Like, hey, I don't feel like I'm pushing a lot, but the sound
Mm.
is out there.
There.
It's just out there without pushing too much, without forcing my voice too much. So
Right.
eventually it will help to build your energy level, through all these kind, because it will
Yes.
slowly, you realize that, hey, I don't have to over push myself, but my sound can still go this way or that way or whichever
Right.
ways. So
Right.
it's
So
always
it
so I do have students who had classical training. So
yeah.
when he or she like came into my class, no matter how good she is, I told them you can only use maximum 5% into your
Oh,
contemporary singing. More than 5%, that's it. Stop. Okay, let's revert and adjust again. So
right.
at first, somehow they will have difficulties in adjusting because the execution is different. The approach of the song is
Right.
already very different. Yeah, in
Right.
terms of where you should place, how back the voice you should place. If you place it like way too back, maybe it's not quite right. When you place it way too front, there is a balance for the singers to find. When you want to go
Yes,
up, go
yes.
where is the up? When you want to go forward, where is
Yeah.
the forward? Where is the direction? So
Right.
sometimes the student that I had who have classical training, when they try to sing popular songs during the first few lessons, they will definitely struggle because they don't know how should I adjust. Yeah, so I have to
Right. It's like
really like.
learning a new language already.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they will have a hard times lah. But those singers who don't have all this kind of, but those singers who don't have, like those students that I have who don't have this kind of background, okay, but still
Mm.
have a very good sense in singing, then I will slowly
Yeah.
introduce a little bit. You can use a little bit of this way. It will somehow you will realize something different in your singing. So
Yes.
it's like introducing some new things lah to these
Yeah.
students, or maybe students like they had problems in their ways of singing,
Mm.
like sir, I always want to hit this note, but out of 10 times I only can hit it once. What is the
Yeah.
problems? So I have to
Yeah.
dissect the problems, analyze the way he or she sings, and then from there
Yeah.
give them solution. Try to give
Right.
them different ways of a solution, because
Right.
like if let's say I have two different students, they have the same problems. I cannot tell them the same way, because the
Yes. Yes.
way they receive, the way they understand the way, or the way they can execute the changes, like try to change the approach or whatever, the way they receive the
Mm.
message would be different. So
Yes.
a lot of time, like let's say I have two different kind of students, they have the same problems. Let's say I
Mm.
the way I teach these students, let's say, okay, you have to do this way, but I cannot say you have
Yeah.
to do this way with the other students, because the other student might not understand.
Yeah.
So I have to use the other way around
Yes.
to let him know, but the outcome is still the same. Yeah, the
Yes.
outcome is still the same. So that they can
Ah.
receive the actual information through their
Yeah.
own ways, but somehow still can
Yes.
bring out the same outcomes,
The
because they have the
same.
same problems. Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, so it's really about. So I would say classical singing really really helpful for contemporary singing, especially
Yeah.
those singers who would like to have more consistent stability in their voice performance, or if they want to explore big music, big
Sound.
sound, big voice,
Right.
those
Right.
things
Right.
would really help. And somehow, if we do gigs, for example, one night we have to sing like how many songs? 20 or 25. If someone is
20.
sharing with you,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe, for example, I don't know, depending on how long we are doing.
Yeah.
So how can you sustain so long if you don't have a good
Yeah.
techniques, if you don't have a good fundamentals? Sorry, not techniques, fundamental.
Yes.
So the basic is
Fundamental.
always the key. So to me, my
Yes.
my perspective is always contempt singing and classical singing. We all share the same basic. Okay,
Mm.
after we share the same basic, we are going different ways. to
Right.
our own
Approaches is
approach,
different.
our own execution, our
Yeah.
own understanding, the way we analyze the music, the way we phrase the music, the way we enunciate the words,
Yeah.
they are different. Yeah, but the basic
Yes.
is the same. Yeah.
Understand.
Mm.
I wish I had used word as my teacher when I was younger. The funny thing is, right? Like, in I never really. Tell me if this is true for you as well, and then we'll go back to the
Mm.
singing. I'm very curious to know what has been the biggest change for you in your classical singing classes. What are some of the biggest change that you've had to do for your own voice? So, like, but for me right now, I started teaching singing back in 2016, 2017, and it was only then that I started improving in my own singing, because
Mm.
I've had to figure out why do they sound like that, or how do I get them to sound that way. Then when I applied to my own, that was when it really like 这是开窍了, because
Mm.
you have to find a solution, right? So
Yes. Yes.
going through trials and errors, and what is how to sing with a diaphragm, what is different placements, what is different registers, what is the meaning of
Mm.
articulation, intonation, phrasing, all of those things we had to explain, and to explain we have to know it first, right? and
Right.
and 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 be able to do it. So backtrack it a little bit for yourself. What maybe give 2 or 3 examples of the biggest change, or the most helpful thing that you've learned during your classical singing sessions.
Mm. I think one of the great tool that I have received from the classical singing training is really about like how do we open our soft palate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Where is our
So
soft palate?
so it's like the yawning kind of tone. Oh, all
Yawning
this kind
sound.
of thing. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's basically how I access to my head register, mix register, all this kind of register. So that is like an access point. So
Ah.
I always like this is nowadays I use circle to explain to my students. When we move,
Yes.
this is our head, right? We move in a circle.
Yes.
So eventually the sound move from here all the way and then it comes back here.
And
So
then
when
come
you
back.
go out
Yeah.
and you go to the front, it will create a very nice kind of space. So the space,
Yes.
I always tell my
It's such
students,
a
the space,
warm.
yes, yes. So when you want to hit a very high pitch, okay, you want to hit a very high register, but you don't want to force it, but you want to sound nice, but at the same time, you also don't want to make it sound so loose. Think of space
Yes,
because the
yes.
space will do the job. So I use
Yeah.
pianist as example. For example, every time when I want
Yeah.
to give this example to my students, it's like when we play pianos. For example, I have a keyboards here, right? We want to play
Yeah.
loud, okay, with acoustic piano. We cannot just force it like that, right? Cannot. The
Yes.
tone is weird. You cannot create a very nice sound because when we push it, our
Yeah.
muscle is very
It's
tense.
very rigid.
So, yes, exactly. So what the pianist would normally do is they will reflect back, right? So they will
Yeah. It's
push
like a
it and then reflect
bounce.
back. They will bounce it. So when they bounce it, there is a huge space here. So this
Yes.
space will create the force for the sound because the sound is so flexible to a point that there's no edge, right? It's not like the
Yes.
sound moves in a square shape. The
Square.
sound is not
Yeah, yeah,
moving.
yeah, yeah.
The sound is not moving in a triangle shape, right? The sound is like really moving around.
Yes.
So how do we make use the space, okay, in
Mm.
order for us, to still sing whatever that is necessary, but without forcing ourselves too much, like trying to squeeze, trying to compress, all this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
all this kind of method in contemporary singing, it will help, but it might not help you to sustain longer, you see, because it's based on our physical reaction.
Yes. It's temporary.
It's very temporary. If today you are in the very good
Yeah.
condition, okay, you can force. But what if today
You
you are
can
very
sing lah.
tired?
Yeah, you can force. Yeah.
What if today you are very tired? You don't have enough,
Mm-hmm.
energy, and then your body is very tired. How can you still force it?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I mean, if you are young, definitely you can force it longer. But what if, when you slowly grow older and then your muscles start to like a little bit not quite tense as
It's not as
how back then.
elastic anymore.
Uh-huh. Correct. So it's like there's
Yeah.
no way for you to force it anymore. So those till that time, it will really tested you about your fundamental. But I told my
Yes.
students, you don't go to that point only realize that your fundamental is wrong. You
You're
see, because
wrong.
that will be, yeah, it will be too late.
That's too
So
late.
you might want to adjust it right now while you still have the chance, to build those kind
Yes.
of, always think about, the space, always think about like how the sound will travel. We can't see the sound.
Yes.
That's why we need to guide the sound. We need to
Yes.
guide the sound. We need to always, for example, I want to hit
Yeah.
the high notes. I want to make sure my high pitch is here. For example, I always
Yeah.
ask my student, use your hand. Use your hand to go
Yeah.
up. Use your hand
Yes.
to go up. Use your hand to go up. But sometimes,
Yeah.
some students, they might not understand. Okay. My hand will go up, but they don't realize my hand is actually going down. Their hand is actually going down when they sing
Right.
because they are not used to it. You see, they are not used to
Yes.
guiding the sound. So
Their own.
but this is the starting point for you to guide the voice. But
Yes.
when you try to develop the sound, you cannot use the action anymore because when you perform it, it will look very funny, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the singer has to learn. It's like after I
Yeah.
try so many times just to use my hand to
Yeah.
guide the voice, then to a point that I need to start let go my hand and see whether I can
Yeah.
still do the same thing or not.
Without
If
my
I
hand.
can still
Yes.
do the same thing, which means I got it. If I still can't do the same thing, which means I still need more time to try it and really nail it.
Right.
Yeah,
And make it into a habit.
correct.
Instill new habits. Yeah.
So, and then the second thing that I realized, something that is really great too, is how do we support the sound? Like for example, how our lower body should function when we sing. Those things are really like you really exposed to a lot of these kind of fundamental of singing when you go through a
Yeah.
classical singing trainings. Yeah, those
Body
are the trainings.
physics.
Yes, those were the trainings that I had last time.
Yeah.
So when I try
Yeah.
to apply, at first when I try to apply, I also don't know how to apply. To be honest, I also like
Yeah.
碰钉子啊、撞墙啊, like don't know how to apply it at all. It's like I have to
丹田什么来的？
yes, exactly. So it's like I
在哪里？
have to really keep trying to a point that hey, actually when I do this, it sounds nicer. So I need to
Yes.
always remember this is how I
This
did it.
feeling. Yes.
Yes, exactly. I need to always remember this. So next time when I redo the things again, I need to make sure I need to go back to this. I need to go back
Yes.
to this every single time. Otherwise, you need to restart the whole thing also. You need to restart.
Yeah.
So the whole journey is to me is the classical singing training to me is really quite suffering at first because I have to scratch all the habits that I have and then start to build a new habit. So
Yes.
just one high note, I use 2 years just to nail it. 2 years.
Oh.
The right approach, the right
Right.
execution, and build the consistent, consistent execution. Just for
Yes.
that one high note. I still remember it's A5. A5. I just, A5. C4, C5, A5.
A5.
Yeah, that range. Yeah,
You're
A5. I used 2
crazy.
years just to train myself to hit the notes correctly.
And
2 years.
consistently.
Yeah. So those 2 years, I didn't practice any song. I just go through a lot of scale singing every day for about 1 hour, in practice room, at home, in the car, or do whatever things. Whenever I had a chance, I just go inside the practice room and then practice all the way. Through this journey, I mean, after 2 years, when I really understand the concept, this is basically how we should approach the high pitch. Then B5, C5, the B flat 5, B5, C6, somehow, you can access it right away, because you already understand the concept. You're already there. All you
How
need to
get
do
there?
is just jump out a bit more, jump out a bit more, jump out a bit more. Then you are
Right.
there already. Then from there,
Right.
when you grow older, then you really have to go through everything again and make sure it's stabilized, in your system, so that
Right.
whenever you want to
Right.
bring out, it's still there. So learning the skills is not enough. But to make it consistent, this one is quite difficult.
Yes, yes.
This one is quite difficult.
Learning skills, everything, take it apart lah. Just holding a note consistently with that one tone is really hard in.
Yeah, yeah, correct. So it's really a mind game,
Yeah,
lah. It's really a mind game. Singing is really a mind game. Yeah.
it is though, and it at the same time, because it is so personal and so personalized, because I can have, another girl, another woman who is just exactly my height, exactly my weight, my whatever, but we can sound completely different. when
Yes.
when we're talking, we might be able to sound the same, but when we're singing, it might be a completely different voice. So, like, I would say, out of all the instruments that I've heard so far, I will always still come back to the voice, and it will be most interesting to me because it's so unique. Everybody's voice is so unique, and how we handle it, right? I feel very privileged lah, because essentially you're giving voice to somebody. You're showing them how to use their 怎么讲 like their superpower that nobody else has, and you guiding them, like, okay, how do you use it properly, how do you protect it, and how do you keep it sustainable. These are very um um it's a very delicate business, very delicate
Mm-hmm.
education. Yeah. So let's come back a little bit to, like, we touched a little bit on placements and registers. So I'm just gonna go through it because there's some keywords here that I've written down, like placement of vocal placement and registers, articulation, intonation, phrasings, breathing, diaphragm. Like, let's just
Mm.
go through it very, very briefly. And for those of you guys who are listening and who want to, know more about these or take lessons with Mr. Terrence, please contact him directly or go to UCSI and knock on his door. Okay, so first of all, placements and registers, like, from what I understand and how I tell, how I teach my students, it's and how I understand for myself, like, we have, three basic ones. I'm sure there are more, but three basic ones. We have our chest voice, this one, and then we have our mixed voice, which is, a mid somewhere around here, and then we have our head voice or falsetto. That is the
Mm.
general rule that I want my students to think about. So how would you explain it to, someone who um uh yeah, a little bit about registers and placements? Are they the same thing, or what?
Mm, to start off, I always explain three different basic direction to my students who
Yeah.
don't have any background of singing or who wants to
Yes.
like really develop their foundation. Is always three things. Now, the first line is going up, the second line is going forward, the third line is going down. So these three
Ah,
things represent different kind of stuff. Number one, the one that is going up is always about the placement. Because
okay.
nowadays in singing content, is in the pop song especially, we don't want to drop the sound. We don't want
Yeah.
to really like throw the sound down. Even though we are
And let
singing the
it
low notes,
go.
there's no more sound already, right? So even though you are trying to sing the low notes, you need to raise up a little bit, like try to pick up the sound a little bit
Yeah.
more. So it's always up, it's always moving up there. So even
Yeah.
when you want to try to change the different kind of placement, you also have to think up because you want to go for the higher register. Because nowadays all the pop songs are really high, at the choruses, right?
Yes.
The yeah, it's really very high. So that's why I always think up, think up, think up like a rocket. Think up all the way up. The rest, don't think
Yeah.
about it first. The second one is the one that is going straight, is the direction, your
Mhm.
voice direction, your
Yeah.
voice projection. So up,
Mm.
you need, forward, you need as well. Going downward, you need also. But the going downward, to me, the way I explain it is your breathing, your support. So I will combine
Ah,
these three things at the same time. So I will explain to them these three
okay.
things. You need to have these three things. Without one of them, you cannot survive. Yeah, without one of them,
Right.
you cannot survive.
Right.
So, to explain the register to my students, normally it depends on
Yeah.
what kind of register, what kind of range that they have, or depending on what kind of song that they are preparing, whether for their jury, whether for their exam, or whether for their performance, or whether for their competition. So it is quite varied, to be honest. But because nowadays, okay, let's say my students nowadays, they like to sing a lot of big song. Whenever there's a chorus, it's like Mariah Carey, all this kind of big sound up there, belt all the way. So I always encourage them to think pyramid. So the higher you go, the smaller you are. So when we go high pitch, if we open our space way too much, the sound will not cut through.
Yeah.
What do you mean cut through,
Right.
sir? Okay, imagine
好
in
像
an orchestra.
闪这样。
Hey, imagine in an orchestra, you have a lot of strings, a lot of brass instruments. Listen to the piccolo. Piccolo is the highest, and then it just shoot out. That is cut through.
Yeah.
So how do we achieve the cut through? Okay, in our singing, think of pyramid. The higher you go, the smaller you are. Okay, but I always explain to my student, after you go up, it's still not enough. You still need to be able to go forward. Because when
to be
you
able to
go
cut
up,
through.
yes, exactly. Because when you go up, there is no direction. You see, where is the forward? There's one straight line, the vocal direction.
Yes.
You cannot just lose it. If you go up, I can't. And me as the audience, I can't get what you are trying to deliver. We don't feel the impact.
Yeah.
We don't feel the wow. We don't feel the we don't get the what are the impression that you are trying to portray on the stage. But when you go up and then you go slightly front, you don't have to go like really front. You just think of you go up and then you jump a little bit forward, like try to grab something and then you hook on it, just like that. That's all you need to do. Then you will notice your sound would change to something else already. You won't notice it. That is just small amount of effort that you need to adjust, but at the same time, it will create a very big impact for all these kind of higher registers.
Right.
So mixed voice, when I train them, it's always about like go out first and then you go forward. After you go forward, you start drag down a little bit, right? Start to drag downwards a little bit more voice. Then eventually you will create a very nice kind of space. See, in the end, we are still in the space. The space is not going anywhere.
不会觉得很虚。
Exactly. You will have a very nice support on your sound. You have a very nice placement on your voice. You have a very nice projection. So 3 things function at the same time. Go up, go front, pulling downwards a little bit, create a big space. That's it. You are done. That's it. You are done. So that's basically when my student is trying to understand that how should I sing this whole phrase. It's so high to a point that maybe I can reach, but I don't know how to reach it. Like, is there a way?
Right.
So change their thinking. But a lot of students, they have a hard time to get used to that. Like I mentioned just now, when you ask them to go up, they will go down, but they don't know. So it's really about the time for them to really understand it, really listen it. But so I always encourage them, once you can identify, once you finally understand how it works, I can assure you that your singing journey will be much more fruitful, will be much more easier.
Yes. The keyword easier.
Yes, correct. Yeah, because contempt singing nowadays there are so many like for Bruno Mars, all these kind of people. Like when I went to Chow, 2 days ago for the jam session for the R&B, tons of Bruno Mars kind of. So it's really this kind of genres already. People like ambitious one, and people aims to achieve something big. They want to sound,
and it's a good thing.
It is a good thing. Yeah. So
how to get there?
Yes, exactly. So I told my student, I said, it's not wrong to choose this kind of big stuff. To me, it's really a good thing because you want to achieve something. You want to be good. You want to learn more things. But we need to find ways to learn the approach, to consistently build the approach, build the execution. So then next time, after you have learned this, few years or maybe few months or few days, few weeks later, when you come back, you need to make sure you still know how to
do it.
You still need to redo it because a good thing cannot just be done only once. You get what I mean?
Yes.
It must be done multiple attempts.
Yes. One hit
Yeah.
wonder doesn't work.
Correct, correct. So that's basically how I would explain the placement
Mm,
in the more basic ways lah. The way that everybody can understand. So I try
yeah.
not to go something that is so technical. I don't use technical terms. I try not to use technical terms. I just try to use elaboration. I will elaborate. I
Ah,
will try to explain it in a way that, oh, I didn't go through any music studies before, but I can understand what you are trying to say. I try to use this way to
yes.
explain to the
The
students so that they can
layman terms.
correct, correct. Yeah.
I understand.
Mm.
Yeah, Terrence, I really wish you were my teacher like that back then. Had to go through so much and explore so much, like how to have to use your diaphragm, have to, where's your articulation, where is your, like, why you're not accessing your head voice, and how
Mm.
the hell should I know, that when I
Yeah.
was first, when I switched my major from keys to voice in college, and there are certain yeah, anyways, I'm here now and I'm very, very happy. And through you, I'm still learning so much. And I realize, that because it is it's an instrument where we cannot open and touch and then sound come out, it's not like drums or keys. So all the description that we use, the language that we use, the terms, it doesn't matter how fancy it is as long as you understand and your student
Correct.
understand.
Yes, 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 exactly, exactly. No need fancy terms. Yeah, just simple elaboration that everybody can understand. Yeah.
Right. So moving on to the next one, right? It's 10 already and you have to go to work. We have
No,
to
it's
go to
okay.
work tomorrow.
Yeah,
We'll go on, right? Okay. So
yeah,
what
yeah.
about how would you explain or describe articulation and intonation, and are they related?
Um, to me, intonation is technical aspect, right? Finding the right intonations. Articulation is more on the musicality side. That's how I would split it.
Mm,
So when we articulate, for example, when we try to articulate a certain things, we have to think about what is like, for example, the lyrics, right? We need to first learn how to speak the lyrics. How can you speak the lyrics to a point that people were like, wow, I really get what you are trying to say, just through normal conversation.
yes.
Yeah. So that is really important because if you know how to articulate or how to express the lyrics without the music, then with the music, you will be able to do it the same thing also.
Yeah. Do it
Yeah. So
naturally.
that is correct, correct. So that is more, but of course, articulation is also based on the genres. You see, different kind of
Yeah.
genres they have different kind of articulation. So it's really more about like how much do you understand the language of the genres.
Yes.
You cannot say like I want to sing jazz, but I don't listen to jazz,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I want to sing rock, but I don't listen to rock music.
Yeah.
I want to sing R&B, but I go and listen to what something else.
Yeah, yeah.
Cannot. You
Yeah.
need to learn the language so that oh, that's how people would articulate the song. That can
Mm,
fit to the lyrics at the same time fit to the genres also.
the
So it's like
genre. The stylistic approach, lah.
correct, yes, the stylistically approach. So
Mm.
the intonation wise to me is really the technical aspect. So it's like uh sorry, that's the question, right? Articulation and intonation, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So the intonation is the technical aspect. So to me, I would always look into the intonation first.
Mm.
I'll always look into the intonation first. If you really have a good intonation, that's it. Basically, you are solving like about 40% of the entire performance already.
Ah.
With a good intonation,
Yeah.
and then with all the additional kind of articulations that you have, your
On
performance will
top.
sound great. Yeah, your performance will
Right.
sound really good out there. But if you have okay,
Mm.
okay kind of intonation, but
Yeah.
full of articulation, you will feel like the performance is something is missing.
Something's missing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, missing is like it sounds right, but it's not right. You get what I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
Or another kind of scenario is you have a fantastic intonation, but a little bit
Yeah.
okay kind of articulation. The music might still work, you see?
Mm.
So
Mm.
to me, intonation is everything.
Yeah. How would you describe uh intonation, like, or good intonation?
This is really a good question.
Yeah, because like my students asked me before also, like, what is intonation? You keep saying intonation, like, what makes up intonation lah? Let's just put it that way.
The way I explain, if I have a chance to explain to my students, normally, again, it's really depending on what kind of song that they are singing. So I
Right.
always told my student in contemporary singing, there is not so much about right or wrong in
Yes.
popular singing. It's only about whether is it appropriate or inappropriate.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I have no specific answers on, what is
Mm.
good intonation or what is
Yeah.
bad intonation. But it's really more about like, okay, if you are singing this kind of styles or if you are singing this kind of genres or whatever, there are ways, there are certain things, there are certain elements that we as the singers we need to understand it first before we try to execute it. Because
Right.
if we can understand it, the music itself, the context itself, when we try to execute the intonation and the articulations, after knowing the language, then definitely we can do whatever things that we are trying to do for the songs. So
Right.
it's more about
It's
like,
like
okay, how much.
what the song is requiring from our voice.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right. So, yeah. So again, I don't really have a specific answer for this. About the type of songs that they sing, as well as how much do you understand about the language to define what is good intonation and what is good articulation. That is basically my approach, lah. Yeah. Mm.
Understand. Listen or not. Mr. Terrence has spoken. So next time, a prerequisite for all of our classes have to watch this podcast first before coming for class. So they
All my
understand.
students who watch this podcast, right? Remember I said about the intonation.
Ah, like, go minute whatever, go listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I completely understand. Yeah, so it depends on the genre of the song, or on the lyrics,
Mm.
on your voice too. Actually, like,
Correct.
do
Correct.
you yourself feel comfortable singing these kinds of songs? Like, for example,
Yes.
I I'm not I started out with rock music, but now if I have to sing rock again, my voice has changed so much. And
Mm.
the the intonation might not be there, might not be as cow as it used to be.
Correct, 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 correct.
Can
Yes,
I put it
yes.
that way?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. So all
Yeah.
these kind of things are like phrasings, interpretation. To me, I always told my students, I always say it like, do you have a playlist? Can you show me what are the songs that inside your playlist? Because
You
if you
listen
don't
to.
have a playlist, how would you build your library? You see, because all this kind of interpret, hey,
Yes.
why he interpret it this way? Why he sounds this way, but she sounded the other way? Why? You see, when we are able to ask a lot of why, then definitely we are motivated to find the answers. And when we try and go and look for
Yes.
the answers, eventually it will build a lot of our knowledge and exposure. So next
Yes.
time when
Yes.
you try to sing something, hey, I remember someone is doing this way, they interpret it this way. Hey, I
Before.
can steal the idea. I
Ah,
remember it because I
ah,
transcribe it in my mind. I build my library. So I can
yes.
take it from my library, and then I will put it in my performance. So this is really like the library building. People might ask you like, hey,
Yeah. Sometimes we do it subconsciously.
yeah, yeah, correct, correct. You wouldn't know because you exposed to the sound. You don't even notice it. And then when you do it, it's like, hey, I did it, but I don't know why I did it. And I
Yeah.
don't know how I did it. It just came out like that. You know? It's like every night when I do gigs, when I try to sing the same song, every time when I say it's like, hey, I sound a little bit different today. What did I do? I don't know also. You
Yeah.
know? Then the next day,
Or
hey,
who did I listen to this week?
yeah. Who did I listen to? And then the next day, hey, I didn't feel my physical and mental is not prepared to sing, but eventually I executed. What happened? What did I do?
Yeah.
So it's really about the understanding. But of course, you constantly you need to build the techniques for your singing to a point that it's really consistently there.
Yeah.
Then from there you can really fly whatever ideas that you have. So phrasing, articulations, intonations, interpretation, expression is always come from what did you listen? Who do you listen to? You know,
Yes.
what are the songs that you have in your libraries? What are the
Yes.
languages that you have exposed to recently? Who do you listen to? If you want to choose this song, how many references that you have? Just like
Yes.
musician, if I want to play drums, I want to play jazz, I cannot just listen to one drummer. I have to listen to
Yeah.
multiple of jazz drummers just to understand their language. Then from there, I can steal this, steal that. Just like pianists when they do transcribing, it's the same thing. They don't just transcribe from one pianist, they transcribe from multiple pianists. So same thing as well. We singers, we can do transcribing also. What do we transcribe? We transcribe the emotion, we transcribe the expression, we transcribe the
Yes.
articulation, we transcribe the interpretation, we transcribe the phrasing, we transcribe the arrangement, we transcribe a lot of stuff. We transcribe the ad libs also.
Even the
So
sound, also the tone, we can transcribe. Right.
exactly. Yeah. So because some of my students they say, sir, I listen to this song, but what should I do after I listen? Okay, can you try and copy and paste first?
Yes. Exactly.
If Mhm. You try once you listen to them, you try to understand the sound, how they create sound. You do it by yourself first. Copy and paste.
Yeah.
If you can copy and paste, which means you understand, you
Yes.
analyze it already, right?
Yes.
But if you can't copy and paste yet, which means you still need more time to understand the sound, recognize the sound. Recognizing the
Mm.
sound is something that is very important for singers. It's just like
Yes.
when your mom call you, you don't have to look into the who is calling you. You just pick up, hey, that's my mom, because I recognize the
Yes.
sound, right?
Yes.
So same thing as well. When we sing, when we try to cite someone as a reference, we need to understand
Yeah.
also, like recognize, oh, that's how he sounded, that's how she sounded,
Right.
and then from there I will
Yes.
pick it and make it my own with my own flavor.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. My
yeah, that's how.
favorite person.
Mm.
Exactly. And through imitation, yeah, through imitation, that's where I learned the most as well. Like people like from people like Adele, Amy Winehouse is my favorite person to imitate. So that's if you like the soulful music and that was my introduction to soul music, I would say soul singing, that soul sound.
Mhm.
Like first have to listen and then how does she does that vocal fry thing on the growl or that 你这样 that
Mhm.
扁 sound, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
If we can do it, then you know where it's coming from, and then you can make it your own into other songs.
That's right. That's very right. That's very true. Yes.
Okay, so moving on. I will let you go
Mhm.
very, very soon. I promise, Terrence. You've
It's
taught
okay, no
me
worries.
so
Let's just move on. Yeah.
so much already. All right, so I guess like we've covered everything. Oh, one key thing then, which brings to back to my condition. So you're doing so much, you're teaching, you're constantly moving and you're gigging, yeah, you're just doing so much in music, right? Just specifically on vocal health and wellness, what are some of the core routines that you have for ensuring vocal health? Like for me, I believe that exercise is very, very important. Exercise and rest. I know they're very contradicting, but these two are very important to me.
Mm.
So what for you?
Um, Back then, when I first started off singing, the first thing that I built is really the stamina, because that will really sustain your singing longer. So
Yes.
my teachers back then, she was really crazy. When I went into the classroom, I cannot wear like this. I cannot wear like just t-shirt or slippers. I have to wear like sport wears because I know I'm going to get
Because it's
sweat
workout.
after. It's a workout session. How do we work out? My teacher is like, okay, so let's sing this song, and I want you to do frog jump while you are singing. Frog jump. So that's I still remember a few ways lah. I can slowly explain to you.
Yeah.
The first one is a frog jump. Then after that, okay, now we will do this again. Let's run the staircase. You cannot walk the staircase, huh? You cannot do slow jog on the staircase.
Run.
You have to run on the staircase and then you sing as well. Sing while you are
Oh,
running.
jeez. Oh,
Okay.
no.
So
Yeah,
those
Beyonce
things
level
were in
already.
the classroom. Then few days later or few years later, she will just bring all her students, go to the park, go to the beach.
Uh-huh.
You know, beach,
And
there's
run.
no reflection, right? There's no reflection.
Yeah.
So when your sound is out there, it's out there. You know, there's no
Yeah.
bouncing back and all those kind of stuff. My teacher back then
Yeah.
she was very crazy. She asked me to stand very far away from the other side of the beach. And then she said, okay, start singing. Start singing. Then my teachers, he will stand and say, 我听不到，听不到，唱大声一点，唱大声一点，我听不到。It's like you scream the lungs out. She is still saying, 我听不到，唱大声一点。
But that's
That's
screaming
how
already.
crazy.
It's not singing already. What?
Because she wants to build your voice projection, but because we were young, you know, our voice will recover in the faster pace, you see. So she realized that, okay, just start singing first. So what? Cannot 了，老师，我要休息一下。OK 了，休息好了，再来多一次。
再来。
再来多一次。Then
Oh.
I still remember there's one more exercise. You know, in Miri Sarawak, there is a park. It's in a circle. It's like a jogging track. Basically, everyone will go and jog and just go there and walk, you know, chill a little bit. And there are a few like bridges, you know, connected to the center of that circle.
Yeah.
So my teacher will ask us to run in front of a lot of people. She will just stand at the middle of the circle. It's really a huge circle. It's the same exercise as the beach exercise. You have to run, and then sing. Run and sing non-stop. Yeah.
In front of people.
Run and sing. Really run with a lot of people. So you just sing. And eventually, you know, she to me, I think that is still quite useful. And she taught me of ways like when you want to run, okay, to make it consistent, okay, while you are running in your breathing, always remember how many steps you take to do an inhale and how many steps do you take when you do exhale. Those steps are actually very important. It will indicate whether your breathing is consistent or not.
Right. Oh, that's kind of smart.
Yeah. That's actually will sustain your running also, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I eventually, I don't know, until my teacher told me, actually you can try this. You know, if you take 2 steps for you to do the inhale, maybe you can consider to take 4 steps for you to do the exhale. So consistently build those kind of stamina. So that because in music, we are in beats, you see, there are timing, there are beats. When we run, our body will create a constant beat also.
A rhythm. Yes. A
constant rhythm also. So if you can do the same thing, imagine what you can do when you are really singing with really nice support. Because breathing is part of the music. Like how many beats you want to use, how many beats you want to take for you to do the inhale, and how many beats you want to sustain a note to a point that you cut off and then you breathe in again. So that really helps. Yes. So that is basically how I do. So I run a lot. I really run, do a lot of jogging, you know, jog and sing at the same time. It's not just jog, jog, tired, and then I start walking. No, it's jog and sing. It's really tired because you want to sing, you want to make sure your sound is constantly there. Because back then
instead of
because in competition we do a lot of like 快歌, you know, 一边跳舞一边唱歌的歌. Concert as well. So it really trains, like your voice is really sitting down there, you know. So that's basically the main thing. Like for in the competition also, after we took our rest in the hotel, okay, we took our rest, and then we woke up. The first thing we do, we run the staircase and sing. That's how we warm up. We are not just sitting in the hotel room. Let's just do this. No, we go out there, get ourselves sweat, run the staircase. You know, in the hotel where there are a lot of other people in the hotel, we just run it and then we just sing. Like just ignoring everybody. You do your own things. After like running for like about 20 to 30 minutes, you go back to your room, get dressed, get ready for the competition, and then go on stage already. Eventually, all these kind of trainings, it really stabilize your support. It really stabilize. It create a very nice force in your breathing. Those kind of physical trainings, it really trains how you control your breathing. So when you really want to project your voice, even though now we are talking, we don't squeeze our voice, right? Yeah, we don't squeeze our voice. Yeah, not here. we are using our whole body, because that basically whatever things that we have trained back then, it will somehow change the way you talk also. So sooner or later,
Yes.
I realized, hey, my talking will become so loud, and it's so
Yes, me too.
productive. It's so productive. It's like, if me
很近啊
and yes, if me and Mr. Tan and you together in one spot, that spot will sound, it's very noisy already. When singers group together, that area
havoc.
will, yeah, will be like, night market already, because we use diaphragm to talk, we use diaphragm to laugh, we use
Yes.
diaphragm to joke around, So it's like that eventually
Yeah.
will, yeah. So to me, that part is really a gold experience. Yeah, it somehow changed a lot the way I sing today
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Perfect. Like, I noticed my voice getting louder and louder like 3 years ago. I was like, 怎么讲话这样死鬼大声的呀 and it, yeah, and it's gotten less tiring as I usually like
Yeah,
以前
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
when we don't know what we're doing, like 很累了 very tired. And then eventually can talk all night, nothing, not to say nothing
Yes,
lah, but like the support is there.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. The stamina is really, is to me, is very important. The stamina. Yeah,
Yeah.
the breathing is always about the breathing. You need to breathe to sing. You know.
Yes. Definitely. I remember the recent last year end, it was like a proper show again after a year and a half of not doing a it's a pop gig, so everything's like on, like it has to be, you have to meriahkan the whole place. It's just 2 sets, and we have to do 3 nights. The first night I was like, oh my god, this is cardio.
Mm.
I miss this, and like nothing hurts except for my stomach, because the amount of support that we have to use, it's like, oh god lah, okay, I have to go back to jogging and sit ups and things like that. Otherwise, cannot
Mm.
sustain it. The voice also
Yes,
cannot
yes, yes,
sustain.
yes. Yes, correct, correct, correct. It's really
Yeah,
physically, it's quite tiring. Yeah. So singing is not just about using the throat, or it's really from your head all the way to your toe.
yeah. How you
Mm-hmm.
move on stage, or how you not move when you're singing, also that really affects your voice,
Yes, that as well. Yeah, you should
right?
move on the on at the right time and stop moving. At a
Yes.
certain spot. Don't move when it is not supposed to move, and then you stop there, and then when it is supposed to move. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, that's also another thing, lah.
And that is for them to experiment, to find for their own, because
That's
I'm
for
sure
practical experience is different things already. Yeah.
exactly where I move, you might not move. Where you move, I might not move. That kind of thing. So it's a yeah, it's a personal touch thing lah. Like
Mm.
techniques and everything is 50%, but how you execute, like you said, how you interpret it, how you do everything on top of it, it's the next 50%. And those
Yes.
are the
Yes.
those, those are the things that sometimes we want to teach, but you have to teach yourself to get there.
Mm. Yeah, the hardest part in singing performance, especially, is not the learning skills, it's not the
Yeah.
practice, but it's always the actual execution.
Yes.
Yeah, because you need to mentally so prepared, you need to physically so prepared in order for you to execute whatever things that you want to execute. So one slip of
Yes.
mind, maybe the execution gone wrong. So the execution part is always the most difficult one. I mean, at least in
Yeah.
contemporary singing, lah. Yeah. Mm.
Definitely. An example, I've never sung an Ariana Grande song before, because I never believed that I could reach her pitch when I was younger. And then last Saturday at Sui's, I had to sing that song because John lah. Anyways, uh, uh, and just my thought process was, okay, do I trust my voice enough? Do I trust that I have the the techniques down to support my own self? That's one. And then it's the mindset, like you said, like, are you mentally prepared to do it? It's a do or die thing. Like, I'm so into you. If that note you don't sampai already, no need lah, gone lah, the whole chorus, never
Yeah.
mind, it's okay.
Yes, very true. That's very true.
That kind of thing. Yeah. So Terrence, thank you so much for doing this and on a weekday, Salmo. Is there anything that I should have asked in terms of voice or anything that you think I left out that you want to 补充一下?
Mm, actually, to summarize for everything that I have shared here, it's really all about like to me, I think listening is really really important. Yeah, I like. Uh, I know I have a few students on the chat right now. I can see the chat. Wonder if he's watching the live comments. Yes, I do watch the live comments here. Yeah. Run away. I see everything that you are posted here, Yixing and Quat. Okay, all right. So
And it's on YouTube also.
yeah, they're like trying to make comments, like imagine thinking that I'm not going to read it, but actually I see everything. Okay, but anyway, I think there's one question here, Ling. Here, I'm not sure whether you are still here. Do you need to begin vocal training in your youth, or can you start in the adulthood? To me, there's no right or wrong. You want to start from youth also can. You want to start in the adulthood also can. Is there any age that's too old? No. I mean, no matter how old you are, you still can always start to learn how to sing. So that's perfectly fine. Is there such a thing as a vocal cord? Wow. I To me this thing is based on the condition, you see, our body condition. So I don't have the perfect answers. I mean, for contemporary singing, it's all about the condition that you have at that moment, and from there how we can build it, constantly and make it settle down. So
Maintain it.
yes, or maintain, yes. So, Ling Teo, I hope that answers your question. I mean, to summarize for everything that I said here, like I mentioned, is the listening is very very important to all the singers. Let me just give one quick example. When I played drums, back in No Black time, our generation thing, No Black time. Now it's Chowking
Righty.
generation. Back then it's No Black time generation. So I very glad enough. I played with John Dip Silas, Ken Chong, and then we had one singer from Indonesia. I'm pretty sure you know her, Emilia Ong. Emilia Ong. So this Indonesian singer, she is so good to a point that she can really tell all parts of the instruments. So when we rehearse, it really is the musician's burden, because this singer is really listening. She listens to everything. When we rehearse, so much easy. The rehearsal is like the most effective rehearsal I ever been through.
Yeah.
When we start playing the song, she will like, okay, stop. Terrence, I think you should try this. The sound is not quite right. I don't feel it. So can you try to do it other way so that we can gel in together? Basis, I think the note that you are playing maybe can be a little bit different so that I can feel it better as well. Or pianist maker. So she expected me, like, wow, so much easier. I can get what you really want as an instrumentalist. Because sometimes singers will say, oh, I don't feel right. Which part is not right? Don't know. I just feel not right. Yeah, I feel something it's not smooth. I can't feel the support. Where we need to know where, right? So
Yes.
listening is really about, because singers, to me it's not right or wrong. It's really about like how much do you want to expose yourself. How much do you want to expose yourself to? How much do you want to shape yourself into a better musician? Not just singers. You see, musicians, singers, two different things. Singers or instrument. I want to be a better drummer, or I want to be a better musician. Which one do you want to choose? So it's really all about the choice. So there's no right or wrong. So some people they will be like, okay, I just want to know how to sing. That's it. The rest, I can have music director to help me to solve it. And when we do the gigs with No Black in No Black Time, Emilia Ong, I tell you that is the most, I won't say relaxed, but it's the most, it's the
Secure.
easiest. Yes, the most like smoothest flows ever. She cues in in a very perfect rhythm, and then suddenly building up and downs, breakdowns, dynamically up and down. She controls everything through her voice, through her gesture. The gesture is so smooth to a point that we get the gesture is to cue us, but the audience get the gesture as in like she is trying to engage with the audience. So one gesture,
two tones.
yes.
Oh, two birds. Yeah.
I'm like, to a point that is like, wow, that is the smoothest flow ever. So now until today, I still can remember, the experience that I had when I first worked with Emilia Ong back then. So
Mm.
I always encourage my students is like, singers. Last time, when my students are really ready, I always ask them, okay, your exam, please go and arrange the song yourself. I want you
Yes,
to
yes.
take lead and inform the musicians. Do the lead sheet, transcribe whatever that is
Yeah.
necessary, do whatever things that you are supposed to do. Imagine yourself as a music director. What would you do?
Yes, yes,
In
yes.
the rehearsal, what would you do? If the band is falling apart, it's not getting the right sound that you want, what would you do? I want you to
Yeah.
experience this. I want you to listen more, open up your ears, and really identify and analyze everything that is surrounding you, because that is so helpful to a point that it will build your musical idea. It will build your musical
Yes,
taste. Because every instrument they have a
yes,
different kind of taste. Why people solo to a point that wow, I had goosebumps. Why they felt the goosebump, but you are not feeling the goosebump? It's not because you are bad or what, but it's just that you are not getting it yet. You are not understanding it yet. So it's time for you to really open up your ears and try to like embrace it. Wow, I can get that. Wow, it's so nice. Just one simple feel, just one simple line. I can feel it. That is somehow it
feel.
will help
Yeah,
me
yeah.
to support my singing. It will make my performance sounds good, because no matter how good the singer is, if the singer is not together with the band, that's it, boom, habis, that's it, that's the end of the story already. But if
Yeah.
the band is so good, but the singers don't understand what are they trying to do and don't know how to flow together with them, the performance is
Mhm.
also a full stop. Yeah, no need to continue anymore. So
Yes.
the relationship between the lead singers and the band and the music itself is really related. So I do hope like
Sebastian.
whoever,
Yeah.
yeah, whoever singers that is listening today or musicians really listening today, always find the relationship. If you are the lead singers and then you are listening to this
Yes.
to this podcast, really encourage yourself, try your best to really expose your listening. Listen as much as possible. Yeah, you can be selective later on, but before you go
Yes.
to that level, being so selective, try to embrace everything first. You might not sing rock
Yes. Be a
music.
sponge first.
Yes, you might not sing
Yeah.
rock music, but you go and listen and understand their language a little bit. You might not scat in
Yes.
jazz music. You don't know how to vocal scat or whatever.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. But go and learn it. Go and
Yeah.
understand it. Oh, that's how it sounds. That's how it works. So next
Yeah.
time when I want to arrange my own song, I have multiple ideas. I don't
Yeah.
have to worry.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
Yes.
basically
And
what I
you
would
don't
like
have
to
to
sum up.
just stick one.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I have nothing else to add on. Master Terrence Ling, everybody. Terrence, I really think you should give like a workshop, not just in voice, lah, like in musicianship and things like that. It's very, very helpful. And, it doesn't have to be like a semester thing, like a, prerequisite. What does it mean to be a gigging musician? And that's the title of the workshop.
Oh man. Oh,
Yeah.
let's see that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's why I think also, jam sessions are so helpful. Like it exposes, not just students, but it for me, it was everything. That's how I learned, by going for open mics, going to jam
Yeah.
sessions, watching gigs,
Yes.
so many gigs. Oh, Neurofico time, do you remember?
Yes. Narrow Fico. Wow.
Yeah.
Those are good times. I screwed up. I screwed up my first gig at Narrow Fico. My first ever gigs in the music industry. I screwed it up, and that was in Narrow Fico.
Neurofico.
I don't know how
What
to
to
count. I don't know how to count 7/8. So we practice the 7/8 section. It's like so perfect. When I go on the stage, like, oh crap, I screwed up at the 7/8 section right away. I'm like, oh my gosh. Now I still need to watch back the videos. I was like, okay,
just do
that's
you
it.
remember?
That's the really not a good things to remember back.
But it's you will forever remember that 7/8 section, isn't it? You will never
Yes,
play it wrong
yes,
anymore,
you learn
isn't
from
it?
mistakes. Really, you learn from mistakes. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so before I let you go, that there's 6 questions I need to ask you. This is the rapid
Hmm,
fire section, and then we can call it a good night. Okay, so
sure.
let's get right into it. Who is your? It can be current or all time favorite favorite, top three favorite artists.
Wow. Actually, a lot of people ask me this question. I don't have the
Ah,
most favorite artist. Surprisingly, I don't have the most favorite artist because I really listen to different kind of artists, from Chinese
ah,
to Malay to English to maybe some Italian. So
ah.
uh, because I'm not very
Okay.
picky on I'm not very picky on genres.
I was about to say, what are top three favorite genres or go-to genres?
Oh, go to genre. Okay, my favorite genres is definitely ballad, power ballad.
Ah, singing. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is the emo songs. Okay, that is really something that I really like. Yeah, personally.
So, guys,
Okay. Yeah.
listen.
Mhm.
If you want to impress Mr. Terrence, or maybe no, actually, it's the worst thing to sing power ballads in front of him because he knows it so well.
Yeah, I like power ballads. I like all the emo stuff. Yeah, emo stuff is really, yeah. Mhm.
There we go. Perfect. Next, current favorite song.
Wow, a lot leh.
The one that's stuck
Actually,
in your mind right now.
the one that stuck in my mind,
Mm.
Tiger Who stuff. You know Tiger Who? Hu Yanbing.
No.
Do you
Oh,
know
胡
Hu Yanbing?
他是唱那个别问很可怕的那个是
Oh, no, no, no. That one is different. That one is another. Hu Yanbing Tiger Who. Yeah,
Okay,
I like
I'll go
his
check him out.
songs a lot because he likes to
Okay.
rearrange a lot of songs. Yeah. So I didn't
Oh.
have a specific the actual song, but I listened to a lot of his creative ideas. Yeah.
Okay. Tiger Who.
Mm.
Hu Yanbing.
Hu Yanbing. He is
Okay.
like a
All right.
really
Next
Chinese R&B kind of song. Chinese R&B kind of artist. Yeah.
artist. Perfect. Perfect. I'm
Mhm.
looking for
Mhm.
more of those. I need to learn more of those.
Yeah.
Anyways. Okay. Next one. One Malaysian artist that inspired you.
Sorry.
One Malaysian artist that inspired you.
One Malaysian artist that inspire me. Uh, right now I think is artist. Artist.
Or musician.
Musicians. I would say John Deep Silas. Mm, yeah, because
Okay.
I learned a
Perfect. If
lot
you
from
guys
him. Not just from the music, but also from the personality, character as well. So John Deep Silas is really one of my inspiration. Yeah.
can. Oh, if you guys don't know who John Deep Silas is, please go check him out. I think he's on Facebook. I think he has performances on YouTube as well. John Deep
Yeah.
Silas. Okay. So number 4, one dream artist you wish to collab with. It can be local, it can be international.
Oh, one dream artist that I would love to collaborate.
Yeah.
I would say is Color Fong.
方大同 ah.
Fang Dao. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Me
Yeah.
too. What does music mean to you in one
Music
sentence?
means to me is in one sentence. To me,
Yeah.
music is all about expression, expressing your
Mm.
thoughts, expressing your character, expressing your personality, expressing your story, expressing your emotion. So music to me is expression. Yeah.
Expression. That's so nice. Okay, one last one. An artist you would recommend to our audience today?
When you started teaching, there's no more specific kind of genres that there's like
Yep.
no specific. To me, it's like I said in my summary, listen as much as possible. Yeah. So I don't have the answers for this. Just like which artist should I listen to? No, listen as much as possible.
All.
Yeah, listen to all. Whenever you can, just listen to all. Yeah.
All. All right. Thank you so much, Terrence, for doing this tonight. It was really, it's a long time coming. It has been a long time coming. And, I hope that we get to, Guess who's in the comments now?
Shishan, you owe us a big time. You owe us a big dreams, big meals, big drink, or whatever. Please, you know, we need to pay
It's
back.
okay.
I have covered book in your card. Don't worry. Classical vocalist, I'm so sorry. Today there's no classical segment. It's all about
I have to
contemporary.
go find Mr. Chishin. No, but I think it's a good introductory to what is our singing voice. How do we understand it, and how do we approach it? Get to try at least, right? To grasp these concepts for ourselves. Sometimes it might be too intimidating for music enthusiasts who, yeah, who I should know something first. So maybe this can be a reference or a gateway for them to try, to include singing and music into their life. So thank you so much, Terrence. Really, really, I learned so much. It's been a long time coming, and very glad that we did this. And I hope that we get to do maybe more.
Yeah, with Chishan this time. Yeah,
Yes, please. Maybe after jury lah, after
yeah. Sure,
exam.
sure, sure.
Yeah,
We can
once the
discuss
semester
different
and
things. You know, yeah, no worries.
yeah, and when things are opened up, maybe we can actually go to the studio already. So that
Yeah.
would be then we can do more live examples.
Mm, sure. Looking forward.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yay!
having me. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening. So if you like what you hear today, if you find this useful, please share it to your friends or family, and please do give Mr. Terrence a follow on social, on all of his social media accounts, and show local musicians, local music educators your support, because if we don't do it for ourselves, who are we gonna support, right? So all right, have a good night, everybody. Thank you, and good night. Bye bye.